On the road, the Sunday night rant today with a special guest, none other than the REIV president, who, Leah, you've done an amazing job with your team and the way that you've been able to coordinate real estate agents to put a nice loud voice to a message, and the message in the campaign was very clear: allow private inspections, and we know that now has come to fruition. So congratulations to you and your team. Big day for those in Victoria.
Yeah, huge day, Tom. Yep.
So Leah, I'm just going to read a note that was in part of the communication piece today, and then I'll bring you into the conversation. Most of this stuff you'd know, but I'll just read it out for everyone here, the main stuff, and then we can just sort of talk about small issues. So the first thing that we clearly know is one-on-one inspections, private inspections are allowed, and reading here, and I'm trying to open this up here. Yes, reading here, it says, attendees are limited to one agent, one prospective purchaser or tenant who may be accompanied by one other person from an existing household or an intimate partner, and the prospective purchaser or tenant's children under 18 years of age if there are no alternative appropriate care arrangements. So Leah, in essence, what that is saying, that the agent with a buyer and with that one owner there, correct?
Yep, correct. So the example I use is, it could be myself, my husband, and my 3 kids who are under the age of 18.
Okay. The agent contacts the occupier of a property to arrange a suitable time and ensure the occupier and attendee are not symptomatic, self-isolating, or under quarantine before attending. Okay, so that's common sense, isn't it? Like, you would ask those questions, they're straightforward. Occupiers of the property are required to leave for one of the permitted reasons under the stay at home directions during an inspection. Occupiers of the property are required to leave. So the owner leaves the property, correct? And
yeah,
allows,
that's right, or the tenant.
Or the tenant. And that's not a bad idea, everyone, because we don't think that owners that double up as salespeople end up being such a great idea, to be honest with you. And I remember, Leah, I'll never forget it, Watkins Street, Newtown, 30 years ago, where my vendor decided that he would be my co-pilot on the inspection. It was a second inspection. It was going to be the record price in Newtown, a 2-story, beautiful, renovated terrace. And then the vendor said, and I've got to let you know, people whinge about the pub up the road, but as far as I'm concerned, by 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning, it's all quiet and they're all done. And it's only Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And that was the end of that sale. Okay. So owners of the property are required to leave. The agent must make sanitizer available at all inspections and require to use it prior to entry on the property. Yes, good idea. Stock up, just spray everywhere. Spray them on their face if you like. Spray, spray, spray. Okay, that's straightforward.
Oh.
The property should be ventilated and include the opening of all internal and external doors at all times during inspections. So get in there early, open up the doors, let the fresh air out, turn the lights on, be an agent that makes the home look good, but let air in. Face coverings must be worn at all times by all the attendees, and the trendy ones in the middle of Victoria, right there in Toorak and South Yarra, will wear their black ones. Of course, you'll always wear your black ones because the black ones are a status signal as well as a protection mechanism, right? Everyone else, you wear the cheap paper ones. Okay. Face
I
coverings
like the
must
pink ones.
You like the pink ones? Now, can I
Yeah.
ask you, Leah, have you got used to wearing the mask yourself?
No, it's foreign. It's strange. It's odd. No.
Because
Yeah.
they tell me with glasses it's even more complicated. Apparently, they steam up.
It fogs up. Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. There you go. There you go. It pays to have good eyesight. It'll save you in a crisis. Okay. Agents must ensure any surfaces touched during an inspection are disinfected by the agent at the completion of the inspection. Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. So wiping down door handles, doorknobs, benches, those sort of things. Yep.
Okay. And by the way, this is the time you can be the picky teacher. Don't touch, Mr. Buyer. Don't put your hand on that. Don't touch. Don't open that cupboard. Okay. Now, here's an interesting one, which you're going to add value to, and that is that we believe it's going to be okay, but we don't have the guidelines. Any necessary marketing services, example, photography, videography, stylists, are limited to 2 people, the one agent and one service provider. So the agent and the videographer. But Leah, what we know is this is at a top level, and what's actually happening that's going to be further clarification. There's guidelines that come into play when? Tonight or midnight, whatever?
Yeah, so there'll be new directions that will come out. There'll be directions 17, I think, from memory. And the REIV has a meeting tomorrow morning with government just to confirm everything. And then we'll have clear clarity on these things, because that additional note has come out late this afternoon and early evening. So we still need to get some further clarification on that.
Okay. The agent keeps records of all inspections or marketing activity undertaken, including necessary contact details of attendees. That's common sense. You get the details of all the people, so that will help with contact tracing. I presume that's what
agents should be able to do contact tracing better than others. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then we've got minimize the touching of surfaces with the property by turning on lights and opening all cupboards, drawers, and windows and door. Minimize the touching of surfaces within the property by turning on lights. Okay, so it's basically saying there is, just avoid touching as many things as possible. And that all makes common sense. Now, Leah, what happens like listing presentations and appraisals has come up a lot, right? Has come up a lot. And from what we know, that hasn't been touched on today in any of the communication.
No, so it's still a grey area. There isn't any clarity or confirmation that appraisals can be completed in person. So for those that are doing appraisals via Zoom, there's certainly those processes can certainly continue, but you're not going to be able to physically go there to do a listing appraisal at this stage. But that's not to say that it's not going to change in the coming days.
Okay. And may I ask, Leah, your understanding of the communication that the government is having with the REIV, can I ask you, what are the next steps? Like, is there a meeting tomorrow at some point?
Yeah, so there is a meeting tomorrow that Gil King, the CEO, will attend, and that was part of our conversation with government early this morning, that there would be a briefing on clarifying any queries that we had after the Premier's announcement and also following the directions, because there are some additional points. So the main one that seems to have come up is with regards to these inspections are only for residential properties. So for rental properties or for sale properties, commercial and industrial have been left out. So we want clarification, and we want to see those 2 areas added to these allowance for private inspections.
Okay. And Leah, can I ask you about, you can't go from Melbourne to a regional part of Victoria to show a property and vice versa.
So as an agent, if you have business in regional Victoria, but you're located in Metro Melbourne, you can. At this stage, we understand you still have to have work permits in place because that hasn't changed. But if you're a prospective buyer or a prospective tenant, you cannot transfer or move from, or inspect, travel, I suppose is a better word, travel from metro to regional to view the property physically. You can only view those properties online.
Okay. Now, can I ask you, Leah, going to the office, you can go to the office to get things that you need. You know, I don't know, you may have to go in to pick up a submission kit and get something bound. You might have to go in to pick up keys of a property because that's where they're held at the office, right? Can I confirm you can go to the office?
Yeah, so if you can work from home, you have to still continue to work from home. My 15-year-old said to me this afternoon, "Seeing Mummy, you've had 8 weeks off on holidays. I'm assuming you're going back to work tomorrow." I said, no, it doesn't quite work like that. So we can go to the office and we can collect keys, we can collect a file, we can then go to a private appointment, do what we need to do, and go back to the office. So very much the same as what all the PMs have been doing for the last 8 weeks.
Okay. Now, Leah, while that's happening, I'm having a look here on Facebook because there's 300 people on there as we speak right now, and I'm just.
I thought you were going to say, "Tell me, 300 questions."
No, I'm hoping that there's not 300 questions because I actually think that whatever we know we've covered. But I'm having a look here. Is it, thanks, Leah, for appearing tonight. Trevor Bowen, great guy. That's the Buxton Agent of the Year. Who, by the way, he's a full-time fireman, believe it or not. A full-time fireman.
Yeah.
That got Salesman of the Year. Also, I want to thank Ben Slawitzka from CoreLogic RP Data, who sent me a heap of information. I want to thank you, Benny. Can a photographer travel from metro to regional?
I don't know yet. No. So we should know some more around photography because it's been a big issue today in the next 24, 48 hours.
Okay. Well, guys and girls, Leah's going to head off now, and what I'm going to do is spend the next 10 minutes giving you some tips on private inspections, on how to actually bunch them, because I can tell you what I learned from the New Zealand experience and from other people I've been speaking to on how they can get the benefits of an open for inspection without doing an open for inspection if they intelligently coordinate appointments. I'm also going to give you some techniques to ask questions buyers at a buyer appointment to close them, because I'm convinced, Leah, I'm convinced that a real estate agent, look, I have to say it would be ideal in the next few days that we get clarification on appraisals, right? Because I do think that you can do a fair bit of work using Zoom to do 80% of an appraisal, but I do think there's something, and it's called emotional contagion, where two people meet, even if it's 10, 15 minutes, that you can't get in a Zoom. And I think it makes the difference in a listing presentation, right? Plus, of course, the fact that you see the property, right? See the property. But Leah, I want to thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to add? Thank you for everything that you've done, by the way, because, if there was ever a year that the REIV president would say, hey, don't pick that year, you know what I mean? That was it. But I mean, you know what it is, like adversity brings out leadership. You guys have done a tremendous job, and I know that you've got great engagement with the REIV awards that are coming up soon. I've had a lot of people, hitting me up for references and all sorts of stuff, so I can only engage, that it must be very soon, I presume, is it? The REIV?
Yeah, next month, middle of next month. Yeah.
Is there anything else you need to add? And then we'll let you get...
Just a really important point, that private inspections cannot be advertised on realestate.com or Domain or any of the portals. So they're just privates, and they cannot be advertised as an open. Okay,
so on all your marketing, it will say inspect by appointment.
Yeah, absolutely.
Inspect by appointments.
There's also a couple of questions regarding styling. Is styling allowed?
Yeah, we touched on that, Susan. So we think it is, but we're going to get clarification tomorrow.
Yeah, same with photographers.
Yeah. Is there any other questions, Susan?
That's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, listen, are the kids going to school tomorrow? I didn't check that one up. No?
No, mine are still on holidays. I think until the middle of October, late October at this
But it is
stage.
school
Well,
holiday.
not holidays, but homeschooling. Yeah, we're still in the holidays for another week in Victoria.
Oh, so the school holidays are in Victoria right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Leah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Great work. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Okay, so guys and girls, what I'm going to do now is just share with you a couple of things that I think are going to help you with your inspections, because I'm saying you're going to have to get super smart. And tip number one, guys and girls, is you got to sit down logistically and say, hey, on a Saturday, number 12 Smith Street, you know what's going to happen? You're going to put it in your diary that you know that you'll be there from 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock. You're not going to advertise that on realestate.com or Domain, but what you're going to do is when you're organizing buyer appointments, you're going to say to buyers, hey, I've got a slot from 2 o'clock to 2:15 available. Do you want to take that? No, you don't? Okay. Would you want the 2:15 to 2:30 slot, right? End of story. You, in your head, work out, hey, I can do 4 slots there. What other things you can do is say to people, you'll be in your car, and what I'll do is I'll text you when it's your turn to come up, right? A little bit like what they were doing with the COVID test the first week when it happened in Australia with medical centers. They'd say, sit outside, we'll text you when it's your turn, right? That's the next thing. Next, I want to share with you a slide, if I can, that's going to show you some basic techniques to close at your private inspections. So what I'm going to do is bring this up here if I can. Let's see if I can. Yes, I can. Going to close that. Just bear with me. This slide here will help you. Let's go here. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Yes, we do. We've got it there. Susan, I'll bring this up here. Here we go. There we go. We're going to share this slide here. All right. So, gang, the art of private inspections. Here we go. Number one, create scarcity. Create scarcity. And what do I mean by that? If you have an appointment at 2 o'clock on a property, have another person there at, say, 2:20, allows you time to do your cleaning, right? But when the other buyer walks out, they can see that there's another person there. It's called social proof. People want to have what others are choosing as well. So that's one of the great things about private inspections. Now, some of the questions that you've got to use. Get ready. When you're at a property, you need to do some micro clauses, right? Here they are. Do I sense you like it? This if they're showing signs that they like it. How would you feel living here is your next question. What would you like most about this home? What do you like most about this home? What would you use this room for? Are you interested, or would you like me to help you own it is your closing question. Guys and girls, you're gonna have to start putting on the wheels of being a salesperson at these private inspections than just being, that person at an open home like a David Jones salesman. Yeah, come here, yeah, right? This brings, by the way, your conversion rate is going to be high, because what we clearly know is the amount of buyer to property appointments that was required dramatically closed with private inspections. So what we clearly know is that they're highly qualified people if they're coming out. And guess what? Josh Frydenberg has said, let's get rid of responsible lending. Tore the 100-page document. You know what that means? Easy money to the market and cheap money. Guys and girls, we are going to have a great time, and that's the attitude you've got to go into real estate. Not the, oh, poor me. I've got to tell you, if there's one thing, I'm going to try and stop sharing this. If there's one thing I'm going to tell you, you've got to eliminate out of your life is complaining, whinging and complaining. Even if you're an employee of a company, I'm telling you, it gets back to the bosses. Then they want to get rid of you. They hate complainers. Friends don't like complainers because after a while they think, shit, she's always negative. I don't want to hang around with her. Not only that, when you have complaining as your go-to strategy, you become a victim because what you're saying is, it's not my fault. I can't do anything about it. Stop whinging. Nobody cares. Anyway, guys and girls, let me run through some fundamentals that I think you've got to nail. We're back in business, and I've taken some notes. Here they are. The first thing I want you to know is when you're selling in a crisis, whether you're in Melbourne or whether you're in Geelong or whether you're in Perth or whether you're in Double Bay or whether you're in Mount Druitt or in South Australia, doesn't matter where you are. Here are my notes. Number one, you've got to master the fundamentals. And what are the fundamentals in real estate? Let me run through them. Number one, there is data collection. You've got to get good when you're new collecting data. People that own real estate in your area. That is a basic fundamental you've got to master. Number two, you've got to master a stay in touch strategy. How do you stay in touch with people? How often? What do you send them? The next one, buyer qualification. You've got to become very good at asking questions to buyers to work out, are they a today buyer or are they a tomorrow buyer? Because the time you're going to be spending is with people that are going to make decisions now. And one of the things those of you in Melbourne should do is pick up the phone tomorrow, wake up early, forget about the COVID couch, forget about the pajama slope. There is no reason right now why you're not back wearing your clothes, out there working. And I've got to say to you, that buyer qualification questions you've got to be asking tomorrow are very simple. Are you buying or are you going to be sitting on the fence? Because I'm letting you know, you're probably going to cost yourself 20% price growth if you don't buy now. Money's cheap, pent-up demand. Josh Frydenberg is saying, let's get rid of responsible lending. You're going to see a lot of buyers in the marketplace. It is simply just the greatest time we know to be trading in real estate. The next skill that you've got to master in the fundamentals in real estate is a listing presentation. You've got to have a listing presentation, guys and girls, that is so good that the owners give you a standing ovation and feel like in their heart, you're 0.5% dearer, but you smash everyone else. Because if your listing presentation is the same as everyone else's, you know what happens in real estate? People, the vendors, your average vendor says, you're all the same. You're shit, you're shit, you're shit. Who is the cheapest of the shittest? That is what people do. The next thing is your basic fundamental, vendor marketing. You've got to have the ability to explain to an owner that if you give me $5,000, that $5,000 might become 50 grand because we're going to use that money to have more buyers. More buyers is more competition. More competition is pressure on prices. And I've got to let you know that competition wins the gold at the Olympic Games and competition gets top dollar in real estate. The next fundamental you've got to master in real estate is closing. Yes, asking for the business. Asking people, because, you know, like closing's an interesting one, because the one thing that I got to say a psychopath in real estate has got that an empathetic person doesn't have is the ability to close. If there's one thing an empathetic, compassionate person can take away from a psychopath is that they don't have this fear to ask for the business. So they get the business. It's the one thing. So when you add a compassionate, empathetic, intelligent salesperson that has the ability to say to a vendor, by the way, I want to ask you, what's going to be staying with this property? The curtains, blinds, light fittings? Great. Let me make a note of that because I want to make sure that I've got everything covered. By the way, can I ask you, what times do you think this home's going to look best on a Saturday? Mornings or afternoons? Great, let me make a note of it. You see, what you're doing is you're doing these small assumptive closes that's leading you into a decision that they're going to go with you. And I've got to tell you, the reason why that works is as human beings, we don't like to move away from commitment and consistency. What that means is if we've committed minor yeses, we find as humans that it is wrong to then do a backflip. So what do good salespeople do? They've got a compassionate, empathetic view of a client, but they do ask for the business, because I'm letting you know, the real money in real estate is for deal makers, not for order takers. The next basic fundamental, guys and girls, that you've got to cover in real estate is vendor management, because nearly every vendor thinks they've got a best looking kid, and every vendor thinks that they've got the best home. And it is your job to not only introduce buyers to a property, but using that same period, the marketing campaign, to help vendors accept the reality of the marketplace. And then, of course, it's the scripts and dialogues, whether it's prospecting scripts and dialogues, or whether it's, vendor education or buyer qualification. It's these words that you use over and over again. And I've got to say to you, if you master these basic fundamentals, and then you understand that you have a listing presentation that has two things: emotional connection. It helps people get connected to you. Plus, you show them a price maximization formula. You're going to get the business. End of story. So guys and girls, I hope that today, and by the way, I want to thank the people behind my board there, who are people that I've aligned myself with. Anywhere Auctions, the best auction platform for you to be using in a world where now having people that can actually bid remotely is just going to stay with us forever, anywhere in Australia. And of course, VPA Campaign Agent. Man, every agent that I know that crushes it in marketing uses this product. And then, of course, before you bid, check these guys out. Love them. And then, of course, my favorite CRM system, because all the best agents use it, Agent Box. And I think I've covered, all the sponsors there. Thank you, guys and girls, for supporting this Sunday night rant that was visited by the REIV president. And I want to let everyone know, Australia, we are now, as a country, officially open for business. But that doesn't mean that we go off and become unintelligent in the way that we do things. We continue to sanitize, we continue to social distance, and we continue to actually behave as a united group of people that is not sitting there spending all their time whinging and complaining. We focus on what we can do, not what we can't do. We focus on what's available, not what's missing. And we focus on what we're grateful for and not what we're pissed off about, because no one cares if you're whinging. Remember that. It could be worse. Signing off.